I mean, after Starks, after Imawari, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, South Carolina, and then you got Xavier Watts, you got Andrew Makuba, you got some other guys in there that can mix it up and are good football players, but you know, we just know I seen it in too many drafts, man, where when a run on certain positions start going, teams panic, man, and sometimes they make a knee jerk reaction and move up, 7 spots. You know what I mean, Walt? When you don't have to really do that, but some people are so paranoid because it's their guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, think about it. Like last year, a perfect example. Like I was at the draft last year when we took Vaki and Giovanni Manu. You know what I'm saying? And it's sort of like both of those guys. I could see Vaki because I've seen Vaki play, and I thought he was more of a running back. I mean, to be honest with you, at Utah, I mean, because he kind of was a Swiss Army knife type player. But I'm just saying, the times that I seen Vaki play, he was like filling in for running back and did pretty good. So I was thinking initially, okay, maybe we getting our third running back. What's up, Corey? To replace Jamar Jefferson late in the draft. But I felt like as I looked at it, like maybe we could have had him like later on in the draft. You know what I mean? But Brad Holmes felt that that's one of his guys, man. He felt he even traded up to get him and Manu in that point. So this draft is unpredictable, man. And then he even kind of said, in the last press conference last week, grab your popcorn. You know what I mean? So I don't think he was just saying that to play to the media. I really do think, Walt, these GMs have a fraternity, and I do think they have an idea of who's gonna go, who they want. I mean, well, they're not gonna say actually who they want, but they talk, man. You know what I'm saying, about said players, and rest assured, man. You know what I mean? Saying these guys, I think we're in store for some surprises. I really do. I think some players that we think that's going to be definite first round picks. I would say out of 32, I would say half of them may not go in the first round. You know what I'm saying? It happens every year, man. It's crazy. So
You're
I'm ex-
100% correct.
yeah, I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited. A guy. I'm just telling you, your savviness and looking at players. I mean, a guy like Walter Nolen. I mean, you've been talking about Walter Nolen for a while now, since the season. You know what I'm saying? Walter Nolen is a guy that about him. I didn't really know too much about him, but people that in NFL circles know who Walter Nolen is. He's a guy that could be a first round pick, a top 20 pick, and people would be like, who the heck is Walter Nolen? But that was somebody that's on somebody's board, man. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere in the 20s. You know what I'm saying? And he could go. So what's up, Bobby Drake? So I think that, man, this is your question in the pre-show, like how, what am I thinking this draft? I do think that the Lions, the state of the Lions as we sit here on April 22nd, they are a team. They are an elite team still. I don't think I'm not of the opinion that they're not going to be good anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because we lost Ben Johnson, we lost Aaron Glenn. It's gonna take some time. Um, do I think last year lost his luster, how we lost? Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? But it was factor. I mean, not that, I want to sit here and make excuses tonight, but I do think the injury did play a part. I really do. I think maybe 30% of what happened. Now, let's just say I think I was on the record of saying already, if let's just say Aiden Hutchinson would have played right against Washington, we would have lost that game. It would Aiden Hutchinson wouldn't have mattered. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way that game went, how we lost. It just seemed like it just wasn't our night. All the goofy stuff that was happening offensively, the turnovers, the
I think it was the
uncharacteristic play.
matchup as well.
Yeah, bad
I
matchup.
think
So
people kind of sleep on, like Lions fans kind of sleep on, Jaden Daniels, not seeing him for the first time until the playoffs. You're looking at that quick game, RPO, power run type of offense.
Yeah.
Doesn't really give you the opportunity to get to the quarterback. So it was a match made in hell, I think, for our defense. They was beat up in the front seven. And
Yeah.
then to have to go up against that type of offense too in the playoffs,
Yeah.
it's
That's right.
there's a
Yeah.
good chance though, if we were like 100% healthy, maybe things would have been different, or maybe Washington was just that bad matchup for us.
hmm hmm Right. Right. I do think the game would have been a lot closer. Things could happen. You know what I'm saying? So just sitting here saying that to say this, I think that we do need some plug and play pieces. I don't think that you can't go into this draft wall 2 days before the draft and say, you know, obviously you want to have, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I don't want to sound like and say depth don't matter, but yet and still, I think what I'm saying is I think we need some guys who could play, man, and start on this team, man, because I think that it's some spots to be open. Like a perfect example, like we just said, like offensive line, right? I think it's one spot open. Obviously when preseason starts, training camp, preseason, mandatory. Once we get into late August, then I think the roster is going to take shape. You know what I'm saying? But I do think offensive line, one spot's open, right? I do think it wouldn't hurt this team to get a linebacker. I don't know why we allergic to getting another linebacker. You know what I'm saying? To have, we know we got Jack, we know we got Derek Barnes, we know we got Anzalone, but and Malcolm Rodriguez, who's, a rotational guy, you know what I'm saying? But I think we kind of need some more speed, you know what I'm saying, in that, because Derek Barnes not the fastest guy, you know what I'm saying? Jack Campbell, he's good, Jack Campbell get to where he needs to be, but I don't know if he's an elite linebacker. I think he's good, better above average, you know what I'm saying? So that's another spot where I'm looking at Walt, like a guy like Demetrius Knight Jr. from South Carolina. I'm really high on him. I don't know how Dan Campbell feels about him, obviously. I don't know. I see him not being there past the third. I would be shocked if the third round rolls around and the Lions pick at 102. He's there because that's another guy I would really look at, you know what I'm saying, for this team. You know, a rotational safety would be nice. You know what I'm saying? Remember
Yeah.
Brandon Joseph from Notre Dame Northwestern was on the roster. I think they outright cut him off the roster
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So, Melifon will sign with the Dolphins. So you kind of got a spot open at safety too, low key. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, and then definitely on that D line, I think if you could get any kind of spark plug, to fill it. Because remember, everybody talking about this, that, and the other. And Lee McNeil ain't playing the first 7 weeks of the season. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? So who's going to
Right.
start for Lee McNeil? You know what I'm saying? So when we do have, obviously we got Wingo, we got Broderick Martin. I'm tired of saying that name, and then nothing is. We're getting nothing out of that position. It's like, and then remember Kaminsky retired, so he was hurt anyway last year, but what I'm saying is we got some players while we have to, and then another receiver. You know what I mean? I really do think receiver tied in, to change a pace, a different style of a tight end next to Sam Laporta. So it is, and I think we need to hit these spots, man. We really do need to hit these areas of just building our team. In those areas. That's what I would do.
No, listen, everything you said is everything we've been talking about since last off season, man. You know,
Yeah.
let's all right, so where do we start with this? All right, we can start with, let's say, all right, so if we start with, let's say, the defensive line, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
No, let's start with linebacker.
Yeah.
Everyone gets pretty offended when you throw out the word safety.
Yeah.
But once we bring out versatility and this and that, they still don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They're looking for somebody, if you can read the tea leaves, they're looking for somebody that can help in coverage as well as play in the box from time to time. Somebody that can put the helmet on and play in the box. What better player, not even necessarily player, but what better skill set player to do that other than a big safety?
Yeah.
I'm getting you in coverage for sure. Because nowadays, in this day and age in the NFL, you're not really drafting a safety in the first round or the first 2 rounds for that matter that can't cover.
That's
Because if
right.
you can't cover as a safety, you're a dinosaur out there extinct. It all started with Roy Williams, and then we just saw it recently over the past few years with Jamal Adams. Like safeties that can't cover can't play in this day and age in the NFL. That's why I think a guy like Nick Imiura from South Carolina is so intriguing because you get a guy that's 6'3", 220. He can play in the box. He was elite on the back end of coverage. He made a ton of plays. The ball skills are there. The football intelligence are there. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you have to just turn on the film, you see things for what they really are. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of times when we get caught up in RAS scores or sometimes even explosion numbers or
Yeah.
all these other numbers that are calculated off of other people's calculations when it comes to these players. I remember Chris Sims did a show last year. I forgot which DB it was on, but it was a really popular DB in last year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought up how PFF had him only down for 5 missed tackles all season. And Chris Sims said, well, that can't be true because I went through 2 games from him and I counted 12 missed tackles in that game by him. So it's like if you sometimes everybody else's calculations aren't going to add up with what you see on film. The best thing you can do is go out there and watch the film on these players. And that's if you can actually get access to it. And
Yeah.
then you find out the truth about them. You know, you look at Walter Nolen. Walter Nolen was a guy that prior to this season started out top 15
Yeah.
to late first round. Came from Texas A&M, former #1 overall recruit a few years ago, and I think that's something that's also sticks with a lot of these NFL players and organizations overall. They remember these kids from their senior year of high school. They remember that you was the #1 overall prospect. They know that you played at Texas A&M behind a loaded defensive line, and that's going back to when DeMarvin Leal was still there. So he transferred from Texas A&M over to Ole Miss, and once he got to playing at Ole Miss, he showed to everybody that he was the same stud that they saw coming out of high school, and now he's probably 1A, I think, with Michigan's Mason Graham for that matter, as
Mm-hmm.
far as the best 3 techs in his class, as far as pass rush and defensive tackles, right along with Darius Alexander from Toledo, who has a different type of body type and skill set overall. But those 3 right there are pretty much the best 3 techs in the class right now when it comes to rushing the passer. So if you take anything from what we've heard from Brad Holmes over the past couple interviews, I think he values, or at least they value this season and this draft, they value interior pass rush a little bit more than they do the exterior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, how much of that,
Excuse me.
bless you.
Yeah.
Now, how much of that is because of character issues?
Mm-hmm.
How do they feel about Mike Green from Marshall? How do they feel about James Pierce from Tennessee? Does that make them lean towards more so the defensive tackle? I think that's a very key note that we all need to focus on because I'm not sure if they're going edge rusher in the first. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if
Me.
they have a first. That's something else I believe we need to talk about tonight. Like, if they have the opportunity to move out of the first, I'm not talking. I just want to get a second for the most part. If I can get a second pick, I'm good. Second round pick, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
talking about moving from like 28 to maybe 36,
Yeah.
40, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. You want to move 6, 7 spots down, trade out of first. So I'm cool with that. And I think Brad Holmes would be cool with that. I mean, actually, man, and Corey's right. I like this statement by Corey. He's absolutely right. You know what I'm saying?
True.
You know what I mean? And that's my whole point. I mean, that's been my kind of complaint since free agency, and we didn't get, because I wanted the Max Crosby thing. I wanted that to happen because I just felt that this team is right now. We're in that space right now. You know what I'm saying? Where we do need we need some elite players, man, on the defensive side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? I think offense, okay. You know what I'm saying? If you want to tell me, to get a couple guys, plug and play, I think, we may need to start to upgrade the Khalif Raymond kind of role on this team. I think,
Yeah, but listen, if we're gonna be honest, let's be 100% honest tonight. Everybody is listening to how many elite players do we honestly have on offense? If you think about it,
if
like if
you
we talking
ask
about elite top 5 at their position,
elite
Panay for
at their
sure.
position, I would say
Panay,
Penny Sewell, I would say
Jameer's
Jameer
probably top
Gibbs
5
and
running
St.
backs in the
Brown.
league
I
right
think
now.
St. Brown's a top. I think he's probably the number 5 receiver in the league. I would say that. You know what I mean? In my opinion,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm more higher on St. Brown than a lot of people. I think that.
no, trust me, I love St. Brown. I love what he does. I love his
Yeah,
work ethic and everything. But if we talking about like pure talent and like the creme de la creme of the position, I think I've been saying this for a few years. I think he's top 10 for sure. And there's nothing wrong with being top 10 at your position. You can even argue, I would say he's top 7. But the top 5,
yeah.
I can't. And I love the boy, love the boy,
Yeah, I
love
get
the
what
boy.
you're saying. No, there's
But
nothing wrong with that. Right. And you're right about that. And I think that,
Laporta's
and
still working,
Laporte is still right. And that's why,
right?
because
So
people, I got killed for saying that we need another tight end. And people was like, well, what you talking about? We got Laporte. He's great. He's this, he's that. And he is. Okay. It's to a point, but he's a guy to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's not a game.
until he really starts to flourish, yeah.
Yeah, he's not a game, and there's now no slight about. There's no slight to him. Maybe John Morton comes in, new OC, and really, has a knack for getting this guy open. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jared Goff. It could be a tight end. Could be Jared Goff's best friend, and I think the trick play thing, um, is never to me like it's not a situation where he could, you know, I don't know. I just think the trick play thing and getting like say Laporta open a lot of times was like, because if you notice, he was wide open on a lot of those plays. You know what I'm saying? And I think that happened because obviously he schemed him open, this, that, and other. But I want to be able to see him take the next step as a tight end. You know what I'm saying? And granted, he's been great since he's been here, but it wouldn't hurt to have another guy because like he was, limping around for a couple weeks and we kind of didn't really have another guy. You know what I'm saying? Brock Wright, he's great in blocker. He'll seal off the edge. You know what I'm saying? And I like Brock Wright for that role, but I just think that, another guy could be like another de facto receiver at that spot, even though Tim Patrick, kind of can fill that role too. So yeah, I mean, like I said, Bobby Drake. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I'm more way higher on St. Brown, a lot of people, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I think that is he the fastest receiver? No, he's not. You know what I'm saying? But I do think St. Brown get open, man. And when it's 3rd and 9,
Yeah.
he'll get there. You get St. Brown getting the first down, period. You know what I'm saying? I think that works wonders for Jared Goff's confidence, because I do think that you really have to you really do have to have a
Thank you,
guy
Loretta.
that he trusts. You know what I'm saying? And I think right now Jared Goff trusts probably St. Brown the most out of everybody right now. So out of all at the receiver room as a whole. So and then I like the chemistry, maybe a perfect segue to talk about Jameson Williams a little bit. We've been hearing a
Is
lot
that
of James.
mine?
I think that's mine. I think Jameson Williams is a guy that he could really be able to benefit from a new offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? A new guy, because maybe it's a blessing sort of in disguise to get a guy that maybe has a different philosophy for Jameson Williams. You know what I mean? And it's yeah. Hold on. Well,
Well, I'm gonna take over for a second. May get that smoke detector fixed. Listen, JMO, I don't have a lot to really give on this. I didn't really want to give a lot to this because I think a lot of this is a lot to do of nothing. Um, I'm gonna say this much about the Jameson Williams situation, whether it's a situation or even not. The fact of this is an offense that lost, regardless of how people view Ben Johnson, how much impact you thought he had on the offense or didn't have on the offense. This man was pretty much the figurehead of your offense for the past 4 years. The first 4 years of this rebuild, you lost him. So it's up to Dan Campbell and whoever else to step in to prove that it wasn't just Ben Johnson. Second, you have a quarterback that is very capable of winning you 10, 11, 12, 13 games, 14. We see 15 games. When it comes to the playoffs, is he dynamic enough at some aspect of the game to get you over the hump? That's not been proven yet. What has been proven is he needs a lot of help around him. So you take a quarterback that can't move, you take a quarterback that's not dynamic with his arm. He's not the most savvy when it comes to manipulating the pocket and buying time and making these throws downfield and converting 3rd and 16s or whatnot. That's not what he is. And
Yeah.
it's yet to be proven if it was all the guy that just left. So you take a guy that needs as much help as possible, and you take the only guy he has out there that can keep those safeties up and not just hang out on the roof all day long. So now everybody's going to take away. I'm going to say this, man. There's a good chance that without Ben Johnson and without Jameson Williams, and you have no way of really replacing Jameson Williams' talent and what he brings to the field, because our GM, has already proven that he's not going to go out there in free agency and sign no name. He's not going to sign anybody that can step in and be a 1 or be a 1A. So it's going to be damn near impossible to replace what Jameson Williams brings. So for people who say, okay, well, Matthew Golden at 28, with all the other needs this team has, are you really going to invest the 28th overall pick in Matthew Golden? And I like Matthew Golden. Is he a DJ Moore? Is he a Terry McLaurin? Is he like a pseudo 1A, maybe a 3rd or whatever? Possible. But the fact is, there's no guarantee that a rookie is going to step in and do what it took Jameson Williams 3 years to eventually do.
Yeah.
So this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, and they already need more dynamic players on the perimeter with J-Mo already being on the team. So you want to remove J-Mo from that equation and create 2 holes. 3, counting what you was just talking about as far as the tight end situation, because outside of Laporta, you don't really have anybody dynamic. So removing J-Mo hurts you in 2 different situations offensively, man.
I don't get that at all. I don't get that at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sorry, I had to go. Remember, what was that movie Kurt Russell was saying? He was putting out all the fires. What was that backdraft?
Burn on fries. This movie.
What was that backdraft?
This takes me back to my fast food working high school days. We burn on fries.
No, it wasn't no fries.
No, I'm talking about what Ralph was saying back in our working at Rally's days when we was in high school.
Oh man,
pass side ice.
Yeah, but no, Walt, what you said, man, facts. And I don't get the whole. I mean, I missed a little bit what you were saying, but I kind of could figure it out once I got back on. But yeah, first of all, I don't get the whole James. For me, I don't get the whole why not everybody, but just some media people just want to get rid of this kid, man. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But you know what? I think this time of year, a lot of things are said. You know what I'm saying? And people just throw a lot of stuff out there and just hope it sticks. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe in 1 second that, that the Lions are intended on trading Jameson Williams. I don't believe that 1 second. I just think that, it's a lot of posturing, it's a lot of smoke screening, it's a lot of stuff that people are trying to get clicks, trying to just say things. I'd be shocked if they did that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've heard Adam Schefter reported it too. I didn't see that and confirm it for myself.
I'm sure teams have called.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And maybe because I think he does have a 5th-year option. I did hear that. And J-Mo in the business of getting paid, man, just like all of these guys. So if he parlays it this year with another monster season, 10 plus touchdowns again, the man ain't gonna want to take a hometown discount. I mean, obviously that's with any player like Jameer Gibbs. I mean, he's gonna want to cash out, and it's gonna be a situation where they're gonna be in the same spot with Jameer Gibbs. You know what I'm saying? Because Gibbs gonna want to get paid, man. You know what I'm saying? If he has another, you know,
20
NFL,
touchdown season.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it do.
you can't
If he
lowball
does
that,
that,
man.
yeah,
Yeah,
if he has another season where he leads the league in touchdowns from scrimmage, like on some Marshall Faulk type situation,
yeah,
yeah, you talking about the next highest paid running back in the league.
yeah.
So what you gonna
So
do with it? You gonna lowball him?
you're gonna lowball him or say, he's trade bait or whatever, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to pay the guy. So
But that's
yeah,
idiotic overall. It was like, why would you not want good players? That's why, like when I hear people, parts of the fan base say we need to trade Jameson Williams now because what
uh-huh.
if he has 14 or 1,500 yards next season? Then the price tag is going to go up on him. You
Yeah,
should want your first round pick to perform like that. That's why I don't understand this whole logic behind get rid of it, get rid of him before he performs well. Like
yeah,
if Jameson Williams goes out next season and has 13 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, there's a damn good chance the Lions had a really good season.
yeah,
So you're willing to sacrifice. There's no way this offense is going to be that dynamic without him.
yeah.
This offense becomes extremely defendable without him out there.
Yeah.
So
And for
you
anybody to
should,
think otherwise, that's
yeah.
idiotic, man. That's idiotic
If you
to
want to
say,
win next season, you should want him on your team.
yeah. And for people, I think everybody know. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Jared Goff ain't gonna put the team on his shoulders like that. You know what I'm saying? So he needs like all the boxes to be checked for him. You know what I'm saying? Running game, offensive line, tight end room. I mean, it is yeah, you're right about that. Oh man. Uh but you know what, man? I do think that when our team, at least I'm just gonna say this, I'll take the high road right now, 2 days for the draft. I think we are in a better spot than years past. It's not as bad as like, damn, we suck. You know what I'm saying? But I do think and I think just what Corey said, man, we're lacking star power a little bit. We are, man. And I know that's not our way. I know we're blue collar. It's like not uh big eye, little you type thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like we are doing this together. We got the city behind us. That's not who we are. We a bunch of guys, bunch of misfits that fit together. When we on the field, it work out. It's that type of thing. We play hard, play to the whistle, we play 60 minutes. It may not be flashy, even though it is on offense. I mean, if that's one thing we can do. We can celebrate touchdowns, you know what I'm saying? So we got that part down pat, you know what I'm saying? But man, it's almost like you getting ready, you know what I'm saying? You getting ready for, you getting ready for fellas know what I'm talking about when I get ready to say this. You getting ready for the date and you have about to have a night out with the wife, with your girlfriend, significant other, you putting your clothes on, you getting your clothes, you iron it, you picture yourself, how you look, you get out the shower, you get up, get ready, car washed, everything like that. And then you go and you pick the wrong place to go. Or you pick the wrong, and it's like you ruin the whole, like, you know what I'm saying? You ruined the aura, like the season, like the way it ended. It didn't seem like we won 15 games the way it ended. You know what I'm saying? It was like we had style points. We had our quarterback balled out for damn near 10, 11 games out the season. Jameer Gibbs led the league in touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we had style points, but then at the end, it was like it didn't seem like we was like the best of the bunch, man. And you know what I'm saying? Circumstances
Man,
happen, but
I'm gonna
it
say
just,
this. You know what it felt like to me, and the way we lost the prior year to San Francisco, it made me feel like we like the Seattle Supersonics of the NFL. Remember how like the Seattle Supersonics earlier in the early '90s, They was the
Yeah.
fun offensive team to watch, and Sean Kemp and the alley oops and
Yeah.
Peyton
Peyton. Yeah.
and all the 3-point shooting they had and everything. And
Yeah.
but they was always failing when it mattered. Like they would win 60 plus games, but they would fail when it mattered. Now I don't believe that's who this team is long term at all, man.
Nah.
At all. But it's just if you're not careful, man, you will be back at the bottom in a
Yeah.
heartbeat, especially if you're not drafting right, man. Like it's
Yeah.
to me at 28, bro. This is what is going to tell me whether Brad Holmes is ready to play big boy GM or he's not. If and we're gonna get to this guy, and this is a great transition to this Michigan player.
Mm-hmm.
If it falls to 28, and we've heard stories about Mike Green of Marshall, we heard stories about James Pierce of Tennessee.
Yeah.
If both of those guys are both on the board at 28,
Yeah.
and you go with Josiah Stewart, and I
Yeah.
don't have anything against Josiah Stewart. Josiah Stewart,
Damn
local
good player.
product of Michigan, yes.
Damn good player. Yeah.
But if you go with the guy that makes you feel more comfortable, because at the end of the day, that's what a lot of this comes down to with a lot of these GMs. And
Yeah.
he stated it with him, like locker room guy, culture fit. How does he mesh with everybody else? And they like guys that make them feel comfortable. And Josiah Stewart is one of those players. If
Yeah.
you're willing to pass on two potentially generational type edge rushers who may be a little bit colorful. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, outside of the Mike Green accusations, which could eventually surface to be untrue, I don't really want to speak on that because I don't know anything about that. But we've heard things about James Pierce maybe not being the most likable guy, a little rough around the edges, not the most personable guy. I don't really consider stuff like that to be red flags or character flags at all. You're entitled to be who you are. You don't have to be a guy that goes out with the rest of the team after practice for a beer. Maybe that's not what he likes to do. Maybe he wants to go back home, play his video games, and chill out and stay to himself. But he shows up every Sunday and gets you 2.5 sacks. Like that's what you want. You want players to feel like they can be themselves within your locker room. So for me, it would be a very, very bad look and a damning situation if you thought the Giovanni Manu's pick from a year ago was bad in the third round. What if you pass on both of these dudes? Because they didn't pass on Quinyon Mitchell last year. They just chose to not trade up high enough to go get him. That was the
Mm-hmm.
problem. You didn't go get him, just like you didn't go get Will Anderson the year before. So what if you're sitting there at 28 and you take maybe a Josiah Stewart who makes you feel more comfortable in your locker room? You pass on James Pierce, and it turns around the next two of the next three picks. The Chiefs take James Pierce, and the Philadelphia Eagles take Mike Green.
Yeah, you know this was gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen
What
anyway.
makes you
You
think as an
know.
organization you're too good for those players, but championship winning organizations aren't? That would let me know right there that we have a GM that's not about playing big time ball because you're letting giants get stronger. If you're about winning, you don't let the competition consistently get stronger while you're building depth. Like we not. Don't keep feeding me this building depth bullshit. I'm sick of hearing it. Depth got us to the 15 wins last year, but once we got to the playoffs where you need stars, it's no different in the NHL from the MLB to the NBA to the NFL. You need stars in the playoffs. You need game changers. You need X factor players. You need
Mm-hmm.
difference makers.
Yeah.
Al Qadim Muhammad isn't one of those types of dudes.
Facts.
Like,
That's
don't
fact.
Roy Lopez, don't sell me that depth is going to get us there over the Eagles. Like, don't feed me this. I'm sick of it. And I'm
Yeah.
with everybody in the comment section. We need difference makers, man, especially on defense.
I told you. Okay, what do you know? Okay, well, like just what you say, I agree with you. Like, wouldn't you be pissed if they said, "No, forget Jamari Caldwell, forget Darius Alexander, forget CJ West, forget Ty Robinson, Forget Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee. Forget all TJ Sanders from South Carolina. That's just 5 guys. I'm just rattling off the top of my head that I know that's good players, right? Let's not even sign none of them guys. Right. There go Corey just was gonna say, we're gonna bring Pat O'Connor back and we gonna run it
People
back
who make you
with,
comfortable.
with Broderick Martin. And it's like, dude. And then when
Yeah.
it'll make you even more pissed off is when the season starts. Oh, Broderick Martin's not ready to play. You know what I'm saying? Or something, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, you just told us 2 months ago he was ready to go. And the reason why you didn't go out and draft said player is because this guy, you know what I'm saying? You got high hopes. He's turning a corner. He's working with Trey. He's been working out. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So that's what we have to take the next step. That's all. You know what I'm saying? We're not saying that Brad Holmes is not, turn this thing around. He has, but now, man, it's time to hit a home run now. You know what I'm saying? It really is, man. To get a guy,
He's a
couple
solid
guys.
GM.
Yeah, solid GM.
You be foolish to call him anything else. He's done with what nobody's been able to do here since what, the 50s?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's just that I think that the downside, I'm gonna let you get back to it in a second. I just think that the downside to his approach
that's all.
is the fact that when you put so much love and attention and affection and hard work into the draft, and you look at free agency, at least free agency outside of your organization, as I don't really value y'all like that. I'm about the draft. When you draft all your players, you have a tendency to build relationships with them. You have history with them.
Yeah.
You see them work every single day. You have a tendency. It's like having a terrible kid. And everybody outside your house can see your kid is terrible except for you.
Yeah.
Because that's your baby.
Yeah.
Y'all telling me my baby stinks. Well, I'm telling y'all this. I watched him work hard in college, and I see him coming here every day with his lunch pail and his helmet, and he's ready to, he's giving the guys on first string hell, and he's doing this, he's doing that. Yeah. You're jaded. Your opinion towards your players are jaded because they're your players. GMs who think like that have a tendency to hold on to bad players for too long.
Yeah.
Because you like them, because you're comfortable with them.
And I think, Walt, you can get away with that. Okay, I can say that. I think every GM in the league, like remember when we signed what's the guy from New England, the linebacker who didn't have it anymore.
Trey Flowers, or you talking about the other one?
Yeah, not Trey Flowers. Him too. He was terrible.
The other one that became the linebacker coach for New England. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so we signed him. Man, I can't think his name. I want to say Gerard. It wasn't Gerard Mayo. It was the other guy. But so I think, like you said, a lot of coaches like being around players that they're comfortable with. I do think that. I do think you own to something when you say that. So yeah, you want to keep them guys around, and you want them to be like for you in the locker room, because listen, the locker room, you want to be on the popular side of the locker room, because we know once a locker room, you lose the locker room, then you lost the team. You might as well just pack it up and don't even show up to work anymore. That type of thing in the NFL. So yeah, and I think that right now you do have to play to your strengths, and I think that they've been accommodating the offense so much, man. You know what I'm saying? So much they've been like, we gotta, build our offense, which is the right move. Our division is the right move, because obviously you got to be able to score 30. You know what I'm saying? 35, and it's been working. But man, how many more resources, Jared Goff going to get? You know what I'm saying? And still deny the defense. You know what I'm saying? And not get any high level players. You know what I mean? I'll be damned if you don't want to take James Pierce. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe he is a bad guy. Hell, maybe he is doing things that I don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? And like you said,
or maybe he's young.
Yeah, maybe young, mate.
Maybe he'll be decent if he get out of Tennessee. Who knows?
Right. So let's just say you a player, you writing bad checks or something. I'm just making example, right? So you writing bad checks.
Felonies.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So so is that like a reason like not to be able to play in NFL because you're writing bad checks, right? I mean,
I
obviously it's wrong.
mean, that is
You
kind of a
stealing,
character
I
red
guess you could
flag.
say. But it's like, okay, but what if
You
you
a
run a
swiper.
4.3? You know what I
You a
mean?
credit
And you
card swiper.
yeah, and you can catch, you 4.3, you can catch. So, but you writing bad checks out there. You know what I mean? Maybe you get some money, you ain't gonna be writing bad checks. Maybe you
Man,
gotta
you can be
get some.
doing Fed time. That's what you gonna be doing. I hope James ain't out there writing bad checks.
No, not with him. No,
No,
I was just making it up.
no,
But
I'm
like I
just saying.
said,
I just think that if you're not doing, if you have a bad attitude, people have attitudes, man. You dealing with a locker room full of different personalities.
yeah,
You hear former players talk about it all the time. Like you have 10 to 15 teammates. I remember Taylor Lewan was talking about this on his podcast a few years ago about how he had teammates that he was teammates with for 4 or 5 years that he never talked to. Like on his side of the football, on the offensive side of the football, guys just showed up, practiced hard, did their jobs on Sundays. They played next to each other, and dudes went home about their business. I don't need the whole team to go play Call of Duty
yeah,
at Montgomery's house after I don't care about none of that. I get the environment that they're trying to build. They want, for the most part, players who are kind of low risk, high reward.
mhm,
At the end of the day, when
yeah,
it comes down to it, I may have to pay you. Best case scenario, you completely outperform where I draft you. And that's
yeah,
exactly what happened with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. So he
yeah,
found himself in a situation where he got two safeties that he hit on within the first 4 drafts of his career.
yeah,
You hit on both of them. Now you got, but that's a great situation to have. Like, why would you not want to hit on that? Why would
yeah,
you not want to have the best players on your team? Like, as long as it took JMO to develop into what he became last year, and we all believe JMO is still developing and still flourishing, what do you think is going to happen when you bring in another rookie quarterback? Not quarterback, but another rookie wide receiver.
yeah.
It's going
Right.
to take him a minute to get going. And who knows, he may not be nearly as good as him
Yeah, that's
because
right.
we're not getting to Devontae Adams, even though Devontae's already signed with the Rams. But that's just not a move that I think our organization's willing to make. We haven't seen it in 4 years. I don't think we're going to see some big time trade during the draft. I don't think we're going to see it after the draft. So, but like I said, when you have that approach towards football and that approach towards team building, it puts so much pressure on you and your scouting team to get every single draft pick right. And that just doesn't happen, man, like that. Look at last year. We may be sitting here in a different situation right now if they would have drafted better last year, but they
Hmm.
didn't. So now we sitting here with even more issues. But
That's right. Yeah.
I want to get to something real quick. Matter of fact, first of all, did you have any comments about Josiah Stewart? Because I know me and Spirit of Detroit talked about Josiah Stewart either yesterday or the day before. I get the
Hmm.
pass rush win rate with him, but you also talking about a guy who's barely 6'1", 245 pounds, not the prototypical edge rusher that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And he also played with a lot of talent on that defensive line, man, in front of him the
Yeah.
past 3 years at Michigan. Outside of the guys who are already in the NFL right now, he played behind Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, two guys who are going to be first round picks in 2 days. So how is Josiah Stewart going to be at the next level when he doesn't have that type of protection up front? I'm not saying Josiah Stewart isn't a good player. I
Yeah. Of
just
course.
question his overall physical talent at the next level if he doesn't have 2 first round picks sitting in front of him at defensive tackle. I
Yeah.
mean, I asked
I,
you because you're a Michigan guy, and we watch a lot of Michigan football around here.
yeah. I'm gonna just say this. I like Stewart too. I like Josiah Stewart. I'm just saying this. He's not a first round pick, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like trying to kick him down or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And say he's not a good player. He is. But I would definitely take Landon Jackson over him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying if I had a choice, you know what I mean? I would take Shamar Stewart. I would take James Pierce, Mike Green, obviously. But he's undersized, a little bit undersized, but he is strong as hell. You know what I'm saying? He can get to the quarterback at times. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't a menace like that on D, even with those good, even with Graham, Kenneth Grant, he still wasn't that. He wasn't wreaking that much havoc to me. You know what I'm
And that
saying? A little
goes
bit.
back to what I was initially saying. Like, did you get the feeling? You see these high pass rush rates and pressure numbers from them, but
No,
watching all the Michigan football we watched, did it ever really feel like, damn, Josiah's just dominant out there?
no. At times, and that's it. I would just say at times. You know what I'm saying? That's it, man. So for me, I like you said, I think it is a place for him in NFL. Obviously, he can do some good things. I mean, he's a guy that you might want to bring him in. I don't know. I don't see. He's too small to be inside. I mean, I was just gonna say maybe you can put his hand in the dirt
You would give him certain packages unless you're gonna
yeah,
play a 3-4. And I think that tells a lot. If you're gonna make him a 3-4 weak side linebacker, where he can utilize his athleticism that he does have. He's pretty solid at taking on guards. He reminds me of Landry, the edge rusher from
Harold
Tennessee.
Landry.
Everybody, yeah, he reminds
Mhm,
me of Harold Landry. I couldn't figure out exactly who he reminded me of for the past few months, but he's kind of like stocky built, powerful, strong,
mhm,
crafty enough, athletic enough to take on guards. You don't want him taking on guards consistently, but based upon what you have in front of him,
mhm.
could he turn into a menace? It's possible, but we don't know with this coaching staff. Like, are you going to get a guy like James Pierce and Mike Green and take them out of the elements
Yeah.
and turn them into run defenders? Like, we don't know. Like, we saw James Houston when he first got here thrive in the role that they put him in, and then
Mhm,
they took him the next off season. And it sounds bad for me to say this, but they took him the last off season, the following off season, matter of fact, and they tried to make him an every down linebacker, and they wanted him to have more contained responsibilities, and they wanted him to take on guards more, this and that. Like, that's not what he is. That's not what he was at Florida when he got to Jackson State. Deion Sanders told him, "You're not a linebacker. You were born. You were born here. You were brought here, and you were born
mhm.
to get after the quarterback." So
Yeah.
you took him. You saw what he was thriving at. You took him away from that, and you tried to make him an every down linebacker because you were stubborn to say, we want everybody here to be versatile. Well, everybody's not that.
Yeah.
Like, some guys are specialists. And if James Houston, we'll never know how good James Houston could have turned out to be because he was never allowed to be exactly who he was. But I my thing is this: if a guy is born and bred and has the gift of getting after the quarterback, you find packages for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you have a guy that has 16, 17 sack potential, you don't suffocate that because he doesn't fit into your run concepts. And I hate defensive coordinators that are stubborn like that. Those type of defense coordinators ruin careers because you're too stubborn to take this unicorn and find a way to blend this unicorn into what you already have. That's what
Yeah.
bothers me, man. Oh,
Yeah.
back to what
Yeah.
you were saying, brother.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I mean, Josiah Stewart, like I said, definitely a prospect. I see him more of a second round pick. Just if I had to, if I just had to, just because I think that it's a lot more, physically imposing guys that you could just like put them out there and take your hands off, that type of thing. I think it's a couple guys that you would want to take before Josiah Stewart. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be upset if we took him. Hell, he'd be one of the most live bodies that we have in that room. You know what I'm saying? That could actually, do something, especially with Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. So yeah, I mean, right now, with the way you look at it, pass rusher's gonna get drafted. I mean, we're gonna get one. Like who? I mean, man, who knows? I mean, right now, I I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know if let me ask you this. Let me go a step further. Like, who is just name one guy. Just that you think we can realistically get? That's a Brad Holmes that you think that's a Brad. Obviously, you're not him, but what would be your gut? Like, what defensive, if we took a guy at 28 defensive or whatever, trade it up or whatever, if you thought we would do that or trade down, who would you, who do you think the pick would be if you had to pick his brain? You know what I'm saying?
I would say it wouldn't be a traditional edge rusher. I would say it would be a defensive tackle. I still think they're not long term committed to DJ Reader. Don't necessarily have to be anyway. You know, he's approaching the other side of 30, and once you hit that other side of 30, unless you're just a big time dynamite player that's productive, they eventually start searching for your replacement any damn way. So,
Yeah.
and I've been talking, like, me and Spirit of Detroit been talking about this recently a lot. I still think Jamari Caldwell is a guy. I understand that people get caught up in these visits, and typically most teams do draft 2 to 3 players at least that they had in for visits. I get that.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, they didn't have Jameson Williams in for a visit. I'm not sure if they had Jahmyr Gibbs in for a visit. Teams do draft players that they don't visit with. That does happen. Teams have virtual interviews with players, a lot of them. They had a couple virtual interviews, I believe, with Josiah Stewart, for that matter. So I want to get to, for example, I think the offensive line is a situation. I don't know how serious everybody thinks it is, but I do believe it's serious. You have a quarterback that can't move. We keep going back to you want everything to be set up for Jared Goff to be successful. You gave him a lot of money.
Gotta check the boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand that these contracts aren't worth the paper that they're printed on anymore, but you did give him a lot of money. You still do want to work things out. And you're in a situation where you don't want to ignore the offense completely because you still do need to score some points. You lost your defensive coordinator. You're missing your defensive player of the year candidate in Aiden Hutchinson. You got your defensive tackle, your big time defensive tackle who won't be out. He's coming off a torn ACL. He may not be back to the middle or towards the end of October. So maybe you do go with an offensive lineman early. Somebody that can step right in and help out. Just to make sure the offensive train doesn't go too far off the rails, missing the people that they're missing. What do you think about offensive line at 28?
Oh, sign me up, man. You know what I'm saying? Sign me up. I mean, much as y'all know, I've just was complaining about the defense just like everybody else. But, I mean, right now, we need superstars right now. You know what I'm saying? And what's up, Lamar?
What's up, man? You all right? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, this boy in the mansion in Miami, Florida. I see.
That's
that YouTube money.
Yeah. We had to do it.
Nah, it's like
I do think Jamari Caldwell is a possibility.
Yeah.
I do think they value the interior pass rush a little bit more than they do the exterior pass rush, and I think it's mainly because the 2 top edge rusher guys, they don't trust them or they don't like them because of whatever they heard off the field from Mike Green, James Pierce. They would rather go in the direction of a safe interior pass rush guy.
Yeah, I'm with offensive line. Like I said, it'd have to be Gray Zabel, Tyler Booker, or obviously I know Will Campbell ain't gonna drop that far. But like I said, the Gray Zabel is the guy I'm running the card. 7 Nia from Arizona is another. Them the 3 guys that I would get at offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Josh Simmons, okay, you can throw him in there. I'm not the biggest Josh Simmons fan. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You may get him in the 2nd round. We'll see. But, yeah, you can get Gray Zabel, those 3 guys I mentioned. Yeah, I would do it, you know what I'm saying, at 28. You know what I'm saying? If you told me James Pierce was there and Gray Zabel, because I think it may be a situation where it may be the room the war room might be split, bro. You know what I'm saying? It may come down to who wants this player more, and the character might come into play. You know what I'm saying? Which, man, that's a nightmare scenario. You know what I'm saying? Because chances are, right? I think me and you agree that James Pierce is a guy that we both would take, right? I mean, I don't know, Lamar, am I off base by saying that?
No, you got me, man.
I'm swinging. I mean, at 28, we talking about a first round pick, bro. I'm not. I get it. People turn out to be bad people. There's people who had no issues in college that got to the NFL and turned out to be bad people. You can't just keep running the organization off of this. You can't. You know, it's especially if, like I said, he wasn't here when we was just talking about this. It looks bad on you as Brad Holmes if we talked about the Giovanni Manu pick last year looking bad. It looks bad if you pass on James Pierce and Mike Green at 28 and you take a safer pick, and then the Chiefs and the Eagles turn right around 2 of the next 3 picks and they take the same dudes that you felt like you were too good to deal with.
Right. You know what's funny? I want to add to that. If you I think we talked about this. Can you hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can.
You know, in the case of Jalen Carter, you didn't want to pick no bad apples, and obviously you made up for it with a superior talent of Jahmyr Gibbs. But what if you didn't? And let's say Walter Nolen falls, or James Pierce, one of these guys, right? They fall to you. I mean, if you about character, which most of the league is, the Baltimore Ravens are about character, Miami Dolphins are about character. Everybody talks about character, right? And those flagship organizations, those model organizations that won championships are about character. Why are they taking those people that you're not taking? Why are we taking our guys and having this label of he's the perfect fit for us and how we are and gritty? And those players that you passed on, they still get drafted. Either the
I don't
next
like hearing that either.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It irks. I've been hearing that for 4 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we talking about football players, our guys, and fits us. And what are you talking about? Y'all gonna go build a boys and girls club or something?
Exactly. I felt it in my soul. Like, where are these bad dudes going and winning championships and don't get in any trouble for 3 years, 4 years? And where are these people in the first round? The enmity with the first round, and I had to get myself wrapped up around this. It's about stars. That's what the first round is. You can find a star in the second round. You can find a third round. But the second through the 7th round, even back when they had 12 rounds back in the day, was about building team, right? Building your team, building your roster. The first round, especially the top echelon, the first 10, the first 5, is about a star player that's going to be a game changer, difference maker, okay? The Lions at pick 6 traded down to 18, got Jack Campbell, traded down to, got 12, traded down to Jahmyr Gibbs. They got good players. And you got a star running back out of that. But if you didn't, and obviously I can't talk about stuff like this, but in the case of James Pierce, if we contextualize it, if you miss on James Pierce because he's not your flavor, and he goes out there and has 10 sacks, and you go out there and you barely rank 23rd in sacks, because you've been 23rd the last 2 years, effectively. You had 37, you had 41, and then you had 23 the year prior. And then you have the same issue. If you trot out the same issue, are you better? Because this is what it's about. It's about getting some star power. When you traded up for Jameson Williams, you got star power. When you traded up, they know what talent is. They keep saying our guys like a cult. You know what our guys means to me? Expendable, cheap, usable, elite role player. They're making a basketball team. They're making the 2004 Pistons. That's what they're making. And they're trying to do this and act like nobody's watching. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
We aren't in the Eagles' position yet. Look. Check this out. We aren't in the Eagles' position yet. Nolan Smith was drafted pick 30. I don't know if y'all be trying to change the culture. changed the whole history of the world. Like Nolan Smith, like y'all had the same 24 hours. You traded up for James. I'm so sick of excuses with this organization. If you don't beat the Eagles and you don't make it to the Super Bowl, you failed. That's it. There is no other. I don't know what the messaging is going to be this year after you went 15-2 with regular guys. Everything was cool when you was 11 straight wins with regular guys. Nobody, And then when you lose, it's an excuse. Well, we were injured. You won 11 straight.
I'm gonna just say this. I don't listen. You're today in this day and age. Right now, you're established. And 313 and fun. You join us consistently. Love you, respect you. But I gotta disagree with this because we can't keep going. To me, that's going back to the woe is me. Because we want to be respected. We going into year 5 of the rebuild. It ain't a rebuild no more. You built. You went to an NFC championship game. You turned around, won 15 games the next year. You're built now. I don't want to hear nothing about being bad for 100. What does being bad for 100 years have to do with drafting Jalen Carter? Or drafting any James Pierce or whatever? What are we so damn scared of? This is why I don't get. Bill Belichick has 7 rings, right? How many bad players has he drafted? Plenty. How many guys has he brought in via trade or free agency with checkered past? Plenty of them.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. We ain't doing nothing so damn special that makes us better than nobody else. We ain't got no trophies in that case that says we doing it the right damn way at all. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong with getting players in the locker room that are different from what you like. These are grown men with their own views and opinions. Some got families, some got girlfriends, some got both.
Yeah.
They all got their own lives that they run on a daily basis, man. They all have different things that make them tick. I don't understand why we heading into year 5 of this and we still scared to get guys who have personalities. I don't get this. Like, what are you so scared of? Not even talking about directly to him, but just this fan base in general who's still preaching this culture thing. Like, what are you so worried about? It's a football team.
Yeah, we've made
every organization goes through it. Guy turns out to be bad, you cut him. If one guy can come in and ruin your team, your damn culture was weak as hell to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, that's what I was just gonna say, Walt. Just because we're at the point right now where, like you said, one player's not gonna tear the team apart. You know what I'm saying? In the past, it would have been like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think we got enough character guys. And we've been winning. We've tasted winning for now consistently, a little while now. We got the right coach in place he's a rah-rah motivator guy, like that. That's not going to let that happen. So right now, it is essential, man. It's imperative, man. This is a huge part of the Brad Holmes era, I think, as being our GM, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we know a lot of people, a lot of GMs that do a good job, right? It's a lot that do a good job, but we talking about, like, I'm sorry, it is what it is. Now, I mean, I'm talking. See how you got me like stuck in the past, because I'm like, well, at least we're not as bad as we were last 25 years. Okay, that's fine. We over that hump now. Now you have to deliver. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be.
You ain't in the projects no more.
There's no more.
Right. You out there in Rochester Hills now.
Right. Exactly.
So you got to start thinking. You got to start operating like you live in Rochester Hills now. You can't live in Rochester Hills with the Brewster Projects mentality.
Exactly. So
it ain't working.
Right now, we know we're in this space where, as an organization, where it's win now. Because make no mistake about it. As much as people bitching about it now, just wait till the minute Jared Goff's not our quarterback. Then it's going to be we're going to be in another era of rebuilding. Maybe it made the process maybe speeded up a little bit quicker because now we got talent in some areas. So the best equalizer for when you get to a rookie quarterback is to have a good defense, to have stars in other places. You know what I'm saying? And on the other side of the ball, things like that. So yeah, you do gotta have that discussion, man. I mean, people just live off the 15-2, and it didn't mount to nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? 15-2 with a bunch of try hard guys didn't mount to nothing. I mean, I'm just being God's honest truth.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I hate to cut you off. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna quote that movie Sinners. Okay, if you didn't see it, go see it. Okay.
Yeah.
This ain't no boys around here. We grown men with grown men money, and unfortunately, the lions like they boys obedient. And I'm not gonna, say nothing further. If you can use your imagination, the only person they've allowed to be different is J-Mo. Because the minute that safety got out of line, that backup safety, they cut him.
Yeah, Brandon Joseph, yeah.
Exactly. So they, even with something small, they cut people. Okay. But they keep applying this amateur. We're looking for guys who try hard, amateur, like this. We're gonna try hard no matter what. The mentality, the mentality of Jalen Carter was dominating, that last play of the game to go to the Super Bowl, and the mentality of a Levi Onwuzurike is I'm gonna mess people up. But guess what? He had 1.5 sacks. That's your mentality. This the NFL. Ain't no boys around here. We grown men with grown men money. You're an organization, $1 billion organization. If I hear that you passed up on talent, and I only have a few issues with them. I only have a few issues. Like how do you pick up Levi Onwuzurike when Barmore is on the board? How do you pick up Broderick Martin and trade 3/5 for him, and you say he's got this, and this? You could have 3 good players in the 5th. You could have traded that to the future. You can identify what a culture pick is really quickly. Terrion Arnold, culture pick. All these culture picks. You might as well put me on the roster. You might as well put me on. I was in the Army. I served my country. I'm a father. I think I'm a good person. I might not be as gritty as y'all. I might not be as gritty as y'all.
I mean, they've been repeating this for over 4 years now. We, toughness and grit, and guys with something to prove and chip on their shoulders. Like you, and I hate making this comparison, but it's almost like you go out there waving the $40 at the one with the bonnet on her head and the coal all in her eye, the one that can't pay her phone bill. Like you aiming for that one. Hey, I'm over here with this hot 40. It's like, this is why I don't believe there's no history of any. And if I'm wrong about this, let me know I'm wrong about this. Google it, prove me wrong. I welcome you. Where's the proof behind these GMs that have done it by saying screw free agency? Like I said, I understand how the Green Bay Packers have always historically operated, but they also had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and those 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks went to 3 Super Bowls between the 2 of them in over 30-something years, which is odd to think about. They got, 16 years out of Aaron Rodgers, I think?
Yeah.
And 16 or 17 out of Brett. And they only got 3 Super Bowl appearances. Brett took them to 2. You can get away with not bringing in anybody in free agency and just drafting really well and paying your own guys when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback like that. But even with that way of thinking, it still didn't get them long-term success. Aaron went to 1 and he never went back. He never even sniffed going back what he did, because he did lose the time in the NFC Championship game that year. So you have to have some balance. The Baltimore Ravens have always had balance, not just drafting really well. They've had balance in free agency. The Kansas City Chiefs, like I keep bringing the Chiefs up, how many bad apples have the Chiefs had? Well, didn't work out, cut his ass.
Yeah.
Well, let this blow over. Once this blow over, we'll bring it back in. Or you fucked up again, cut his ass. Yeah. Like, this is the new age NFL. It's an arms race, consistently an arms race, and you just back chilling, holding on to your bread. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna see how this works out. What you mean, see how this
take who
works out? You gonna
nobody
end up without
want.
a gun? Like, what you talking about? You gonna see how it works out. It's weird,
We
but
gonna
you
take
gonna
who
find
nobody
out a
want.
lot. You said
We're gonna
what?
take who nobody want. That's what we're gonna take.
Damn.
We're gonna take the guys who are forgotten about. The guys we can pay $2 million to and nose tackle. The fan base will let the fan base eat it up. This dude to have 20 tackles, 1 sack, he's our guy. And that's all you gotta say. These dudes, literally, I don't know how the mind control work, the messaging, the elite marketing team, but I don't know, man. Because even the Washington Commanders, after going to NFC Championship game, they said, "Let's get Debo." Now Debo's washed to me, but they seen the deficiency at wide receiver. After Terry McLaurin, they said we need something else. And Terry McLaurin, we see something else.
Yeah, Terry
They
Mack.
seen that the Bears had a clear deficiency, the same relative of cap room, a clear deficiency. They knew what they needed. The Minnesota Vikings knew what they needed.
You see Ben Johnson's way of thinking too. He got from underneath Detroit and got to spend. Well, not to say he spent his money, but he went over to Chicago and got to spending money. And I bet you they're gonna get a damn good player at 10. I guarantee you they are, whether it's a defensive player or an offensive player.
And they can get anything. They in a position where the draft is for them. They can get another tight end. They can get a running back. They can do anything. They can get a pass rusher. They address pass rusher twice. They can get a nose tackle. They can do anything. They set.
They could get James Pierce.
They can James Pierce. They can trade back and get more picks. They have 7 picks. They can trade back and get more 7 picks. You see how the draft is they play thing? You see how it is? And with Brad, and Brad, cool. And I'm sure this comes from Sheila. And remember, Dan Campbell is always locked toe with this dude. Always locked toe. This narrative that it's just Brad. No, it's Brad. It's ownership. It's the coach. They want these guys that nobody even thinks about. Like y'all talked about Josiah Stewart. He would be the perfect Lion. I love what he did. Last season. I thought he should have more production. But 9 sacks is good. That's a start. But before you pick up Josiah, because he's like a 2nd or 3rd round pick, what are you going to get? What are you going to surround him with? Because you're going to need defensive tackles. You're going to need A-gap pressure.
Yeah,
you haven't had A-gap pressure in years.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You got to at Michigan. That's what he got. That's how he ate. You know what I'm saying? Because he had 2 high-level interior guys. You know what I'm saying? On the same line. Yeah, I'm totally lockstep. I think we all are. That.
Yeah.
I as far as the defensive talent, this is where I just think that this is where things have got to change, man. On the defensive side, you have to get guys that are not role players, man. It's just I don't know. It can't be stressed enough. You know what I'm saying? And then the people that defend the try-hard guys as well. You could find you a diamond in the rough and make them a star, that type of thing. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but how often? We talking NFL football here, you know what I'm saying? Either, you obviously you can, but I want a sure thing, man. Like I said, I don't want to be what my opponents got. They both of their fists out in a two-fisted fight, and we got one hand tied behind our back, man, because we're not able to compete. That's just basically what it comes down to, man. So you know what I'm saying? It's like we like a one-legged man ass kicking contest. We short, you know what I'm saying? We're not good enough to compete. You know what I mean? It's just like, let's get away from that. The draft as a whole. Listen, I'm excited about it because I do think there is a level of intrigue. I do think the top 10 probably would dictate a lot. You know what I'm saying? It has the last two drafts, obviously. Because remember, the Lions, they traded up to get Terran Arnold, if I'm not mistaken, right? Didn't we trade up to get him?
Yes,
I think
we did.
Yeah,
and it was like,
what's the kid that Green Bay drafted? I think they took like Jordan Morgan, I think it was, right? From I think they took offensive lineman Jordan Morgan.
Yeah,
Um
from Arizona.
Yep,
Yeah,
Arizona, and then I think Dallas took the guy I wanted from Western. Was it Marshawn Nealon? I think he went
yeah.
for late first round. I really wanted him. So what I'm saying is, I thought both of the Morgan Nealon. I'm just picking those guys. The two guys I can remember on top of my head. I had them ranked as second round picks, right? Just out of my mock. But what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, these GMs got players that they like, man, and sometimes they reach for guys that necessarily you may not have to. They get paranoid, thinking somebody gonna
Mhm.
draft them. You know what I mean? So one thing I do know, Brian Holmes is convicted of who he picks. He it's not like maybe like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, he knew he wanted Jahmyr Gibbs. He wanted, he traded up. He wanted Jameson Williams. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I like that part about Brad Holmes, because he does have a conviction on his players, man. He does. You know what I'm saying? That part of it, yes. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't, if I had to put a bet down right now, I wish I should have, man, I should have did a better job. I wonder what's the odds of the Lions keeping that pick. I'm gonna have it picked. I'll have it tomorrow, Walt. I'll have our odds. But I'm gonna say we either gonna trade out a pick or trade up. I just
Right.
don't think we're gonna sit at 28. I think something's gonna happen. I think that he's either gonna trade up or trade down. Like I said, if I had to make a decision right now.
I think he trades back too. I think his philosophy is not about drafting players; it's about drafting lions. And for me, that philosophy has worked. But when he did base it off athleticism and production and talent, he got players like Amon Ra. He got players like, you know, Mahogany. He got players like, you know, in the later rounds. You
Yeah,
got players like, when you look at the 23 draft, that was his best work. We talk about Laporta, production. We talk about talent with, hit, whether you like him or you don't. Hendon Hooker, when you talk about production, you got Hendon Hooker, 3,600 yards, 2 years in a row.
yeah. At Tennessee, yeah, man.
Exactly. You talk about Jack, production, high floor player, um, has been a decent player for us, very high level player. When it's based off production and it's based off athleticism, you can clearly tell. When it's based off culture, you get Levi Onwuzurike, you get Broderick, you get these guys that don't show up. You get Anton Green that you never gave a chance to. Chase Lucas, put him in front of Hard Knocks, cut him next year. You get all these like Manus. I can tell that's for like business or culture or some nonsense. But when you really get in your bag, you get Laporta, and you get players. Like, to me, it's a business decision to draft Terrion Arnold. It's, well, we have Wiggins, but he doesn't tackle like us. And we could trade up. And there was a video of, I believe, Indianapolis. They got a call from John Dorsey. They were at like 15. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was. I'll play it on my channel. They got a call from John Dorsey at 15. But they weren't. They let their phone ring. They said, "I'll get it later." I'll put it in the video. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Thought it was interesting that they got a call from John Dorsey, and he works literally for the Lions. Maybe the Lions wanted, Quinyon Mitchell, and they just couldn't get a deal. No one
Yeah,
could pick up the phone.
yeah.
But
It's one guy that I do like. I mean, I like all Texas players. I'm surprised that I do, but it's another guy. Could be, if we. I'm talking. The reason why I'm bringing him up, if Kelvin Shepard's going to a 3-4 defense, maybe a guy like Baron Sorrell from Texas is another guy that man is a very 6'4". Very productive player, man. 6'4", 256 pounds. I had to look at his wingspan. That's why I had to look him up, because yeah, 77 and 7'8" wingspan. Okay, I just wanted to get that right. But anyway, yeah, that's another guy, Baron Sorrell from Texas. Keep an eye on him. You know what I'm saying? He kind of gives me the wingo feel, but he more obviously you can play him on the outside. He's more of a linebacker type hybrid type player. But you know me, Walt. I just got a list of guys, man, in my head, and I'm just like, man, I could just see this thing through if we could just stop like trying to be loyal to the guys that ain't productive, man, and get somebody. You know what I'm saying? Remember we had Julian Okora forever, and it was like, why are y'all like trotting Julian Okora? I mean, what? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand like why you're holding on to guys that's not productive. It seems like we're the kings of doing that. You know what I mean? It's just guys that just don't produce, man. And it's just that's what kind of irks me about the situation. But you know, cornerback, now that I think about it more, I was thinking more we may draft one. I think not now, guys. I mean, tell me if I'm off base. You know, signing DJ Reed. I think, you know, you might want to bring Rake Straw in the fold now. You know, we didn't have him last year. You got Meek Robertson, Terrion Arnold. I think that's a little crowd. That's a crowded room right there. So for me, maybe cornerbacks not. We take a flyer on a later round pick, you know, sort of something like that. But you know, I've just brought that up too. You know what I'm saying? The corner, because I was in the conversation, I was thinking like cornerback might be a spot you want to look at, but maybe not so much now. You know,
I don't think they necessarily do that in the first. I mean, like I said,
I'm with him.
taking a corner in the first would be too much like admitting that you swung and missed on the first two dudes. You went corner in the first 2 rounds last year.
yeah,
Get
I
that
don't
corner in
think
the
out
first.
of but I mean, I don't think out of saving face and pride reasons they would do that. Now, I could be wrong. The thing is, we have no idea who they like. They may really value Will Johnson. They may really value Maxwell Hairston.
yeah,
Somebody we don't know who's their guy. We don't
yeah,
know exactly who their guy is. So I don't think they would go corner at 28. I really don't.
You
I
know, it's
think
really.
I
Go
would
ahead.
say this. I think if you're talking about the defensive backfield,
yeah,
there's a higher percentage they go safety at 28 than they do corner.
yeah,
Because you're talking about safety, somebody that can help not only in the back end but and also in the box. That's the whole thing people got to think about. When they hear safety, they immediately think, oh, coverage and we need front seven help. It's 2025. The prehistoric safeties are dead, man. You talking about safeties in this day and age. That's why, and not only in lion circles, but in circles around the league, a big reason why Nick Emmiori of South Carolina is a hot name, because he's a big time athlete that can play in the box. He has versatility. Are you going to just stick Nick in the box and just play him as a box linebacker all the time? No, you're not. Are you going
yeah,
to see his measurables and say, oh, he's a cover one safety? Because that's the thing the goofies will always do. They see athleticism. Oh, he's going to play cover one 90% of the time. Goofballs see athleticism and they get one track minded. When you see Nick Emmiora, you have to see versatility. If you utilize
mhm,
him to his skill set, you're talking about a potential all-pro type of player.
Yeah.
If you're a one-track minded defensive coordinator, you either
yeah,
gonna stick him in the box or you're gonna stick him on the back end for 70% of the plays, because that's not what he is consistently either.
yeah,
He's a guy, he's a chess piece.
Yeah.
With a guy like that, you get a guy that can play in the box, help and run support. He can also come off the edge and blitz on third down. He's too big and athletic for tight ends to deal with. He can cover some slots. He can cover big slots like not what's my man name? Bald headed boy, Keenan Allen. Those big slots, or even
mhm,
Rome Dunze, those big slot receivers, those 6'2", 6'3" slot receivers.
yeah,
He's one of those types of players. That's why I think in this day and age, when people follow the draft, you got to start. It's not necessarily positionless football, but you have to start looking at these players as chess pieces and not just, oh, he's a safety. Doesn't make sense to take safety.
I think the first player I looked at like that, believe it or not, on the defensive side was Dayon Buchanan. Um, some years ago.
Yep, from Cardinals. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Dayon was like, I know he had these elite 2 years, but to me it was like what he was doing, especially with the Cardinals when they was blitz heavy and they was dropping, they was doing all this confusion with their former caper staff or that 3-4 staff that got all that pressure. Like, it was just amazing what he was doing. And then that's when I was like, okay, you can do something with this guy. But then I know he fell apart, his career fell apart because of the injuries. But, with a player like that, you could see a human urine. Everybody tried to chase that for a minute. You chased it. Isaiah Simmons everybody tried to chase it for a minute. They couldn't find it. But human urine probably holds up in that type of role. And then you're talking about a guy who never is going to get lost in phase. You're talking about a guy who's like, he can cover the fast and shifty guys. He can recover.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would like
all
that.
Scouts talked about with even outside the athleticism. They raved about how football intelligent he is. Okay, so I got a freak athlete that's also a film junkie. That's how you get an interception. That's why he got if you go back and look at the interceptions he got, they came in a various different ways. It's not just off tip footballs. It's about him breaking on footballs that they thought he didn't have the speed to get to hash to hash. It's him coming up in the box and dropping and actually undercutting footballs. He got his interceptions in a variety of different ways. He got smart interceptions. You ever notice some guys get interceptions and just the ball just finds them? Air throw by the quarterback, interception. Overthrow by the quarterback, interception. Tip ball, I happen to be there, interception. Then you got safeties like Ed Reed. You got safeties like Ed Reed who get intelligent interceptions. So I get it. People who didn't know who Nick Emmiura was heading into the draft process, they saw him work out at the combine. And people have a horrible habit of doing this. If the media hasn't told you for the past 6 months to like somebody, and a name pops up and he works out really well, the first thing they do is label you a workout warrior. Well, I don't know shit about him, so he must be a workout warrior.
Mm-hmm.
This happens every single year. And I get it. Like, a lot of the scouting has become so commercialized. Everybody does it. Everybody watches highlights of players and tells you they know exactly what he is and what he's not. But it takes like years, bro. It takes years of watching film and studying football to really understand. You can watch football since the age of 9 and still not know what the hell you're looking at.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that at 28, people should be open to everything, I think, right now. Because a versatile safety can help out, especially if you're an organization that doesn't value cornerback play. So you better have elite safeties surrounding them C-average corners.
Yeah.
You better.
On that note, I gotta go. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
you're gonna be back, man. We got the draft in 48 hours.
Draft for 48 hours, and I'm gonna make a video tomorrow. Just about my drafting philosophy versus Brad's. I think I broke it down pretty well. I think that in terms of me and Brad, I'm gonna be very frank. I don't care about character, man. Unless you ain't got no felonies and murders or violence against women. If you can do violence against women, I'm not watching you. Murders, I'm not watching you. Connected, the FBI is in every NFL facility. Ted Raff told us that. NFL, he works for the Saints. You think he's not going? So when they tout up this character and they trot out guys that, like, come on, man. Like, I know you like Wingo, but all right. They just trot out these dudes. Like, I'm gonna sleep on it.
Wingo, Makai was a late round pick. Makai actually helped out. He was a late round pick. I can't really say too much about Makai, but these higher picks, this third round Giovanni Manu and this first round Terrion and these other guys and
Sayon Baki,
exactly. He's our guy. Lions fans, it's funny. They drafted that dude, and the Lions about to take a running back.
Man.
He's our type of guy. The next year, they don't believe in you.
Well, let's get ready to wrap this up, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We had a pretty good turnout. We will be back tomorrow night on the eve of the NFL draft.
Yeah,
to do this mock draft. Everybody that joins us tomorrow night, trust me, y'all gonna be right in the war room with us. Y'all gonna be deciding what we do at these picks right along with us. We'll be doing the first installment the only installment of trades. So we will be open to trade up or trade back, acquire more picks. We're gonna discuss trading up for certain players that may fall. We're gonna slow the draft down. It's gonna turn out to be a long show because we're gonna slow the speed of the draft down. So we will be able to pause the draft if we want to decide to move up and maybe select a player. So tomorrow night's show is gonna be super interactive. Y'all gonna enjoy it for damn sure. Want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, man. And we will be back, like I said, tomorrow night with that mock draft, the final mock draft 4.0 before the big night, Thursday night. Till next time, one pride.